Hey everyone. Welcome to the Happy Flosser podcast. My name is Billy Lunt. I am your host, and I'm here to talk to you about all things dental hygiene to support you on your journey through the dental hygiene program. It's really fantastic to be with you today. And here we are rounding out the end of the year. And this is a time for us to really reflect on all that we've done and to really charge forward with what we're about to do. And I got to tell you guys, I am so excited for 2026. We can look back on 2025 together, and I hope that you can think of all the good things that have happened to you. Um, Typically we tend to focus on all of the bad things that happen. So I just heard Mel Robbins say this, and I thought this was so awesome. She said to scroll through your camera roll and look at all the things you took pictures of this year, and that will really help you focus your attention on the good. And that will really show you what did I do this year, and it'll help you retrain your brain to really think about all the good things that have occurred because I know that there's some great things that happened in 2025. But this episode is you can look at this as a positive or a negative. This episode is really about students who are unsuccessful at the end of this semester. And this is something that really it kind of hits me right in the heart, to be totally honest with you, when a student is not successful. Um, it's a time for you to realize that this is, you're at an intersection, and this setback is not who you are. You've got to be reflective, you've got to be strategic. Um, and it's honestly, recovering after a failure isn't about fixing yourself. It's really about rebuilding yourself with clarity, with intention, and with self compassion. So, here's what I want you to do over the Christmas break if you do not have dental hygiene courses scheduled for the spring semester because of a setback that you had. The first thing I want you to do is just kind of pause, right? Not a long pause, not a dramatic kind of pause, just an honest kind of pause, and let yourself feel the discomfort without turning it into a story about who you are, right? This is just a minor setback. I failed out of school in the fall semester of my sophomore year. It was very painful, and I remember feeling like the world was crashing down on me. So I think it was the best thing that ever happened to me, to be totally honest with you. Um, but I didn't turn it into a story about who I was. So I think that was the success that came out of that failure. So you want to fail forward, and you actually want to look for the failures. That sounds really crazy, but failure is just an event. It is not an identity. And when you give yourself the breathing room, there's something that happens to your nervous system. It kind of settles enough so that you can kind of dial back in, and you can actually name what happened. It's not the emotional interpretation, it's the facts, right? So what was in your control, what wasn't in your control, and what assumptions you made kind of along the way that led you to where you ended up. And you cannot skip this step. This step is powerful because it pulls you out of shame, which is what most of us carry around when we have a failure, and it pulls you into perspective. You are good at this kind of reflective stuff. You just have to give yourself the opportunity to do it. And for me, when I reflected back on my failure, my sophomore year of working towards my bachelor's degree, I realized that I had so many things going on outside of school, and I was being pulled in so many directions. I had a lot of stuff going on in my family. A couple of really close family members passed away within weeks of each other. One of them with a whole family of children that then became my family's responsibility to kind of help reconfigure. There was just so much going on. And once I really looked into that, it wasn't shame, it was acceptance of this is what I need to do. And that's what I want for you, because Once the facts are clear about what happened and you extract that learning, it doesn't become like a dissertation. What did this experience reveal about you, about your needs, maybe about your boundaries, maybe about your patterns or your environment? And this is where failure becomes data, right? Information that you need to grow and improve instead of like a wound that becomes a scar. And once you can do that, once you can really be settled in on what happened, right? What actually happened, just name it. And it's okay to accept that maybe you didn't make the best choices with your time. Maybe you were working too much, all of these different things. After you do that, you can rebuild the foundation. You can reconnect with routines that make you feel like yourself. Sleep, movement, nourishing foods, a clean space. I'm looking around, it's the end of the semester at my desk, and sure enough, I need a clean space again myself. When your body and your environment both feel steady, your mind will begin to flow again. And you can't skip that step because then you can create the next step that says, I'm moving forward, right? It could be, the next step could be just recommitting to a habit or asking for support or rewriting a plan, right? Because none of our plans are straight line and they're very curvy and windy and lots of hills. So sometimes uh, we have to ask for support or simply recommit to something and rewrite a new plan when we get detoured by something like a failure. And this is how we build momentum. It's one action step at a time. It doesn't come from these big moves. It comes from little tiny consistent signals of kind of self-trust, and this is what you need to build for yourself. If you want, I can help you turn this into, a long-term goal, right? But what I want you to really think about, I really want you to think about, um, how do I start down a path after I've failed a semester that didn't go the way that I hoped, you know? And honestly, it's important to think about what comes next in a real human way. Okay. Failing hurts. It it really rocks your confidence to a core. It makes you question your abilities, your future, and sometimes even your identity. But it's not a verdict. It's a signal. It's just information. And it can be the beginning of a completely different chapter if you allow that to happen. I honestly would not be where I am right now if that didn't happen to me. I was on a completely different trajectory. Um, and frontal lobe wasn't developed when I had that failure. And I wish I had somebody saying what I'm telling you right now to help me walk through the process to put my life back together after a setback like this. So you have to start with the pause and then you have to shift into clarity. Ask yourself what actually happened this semester, not with shame, not in a catastrophizing way, but factual, right? Were you overwhelmed? Were you working too many hours? Were you struggling silently with something personal? Right? Because the faculty are there, you have advisors, the faculty are there to support you and help you pivot and help you navigate. Did you underestimate the workload? Did you avoid asking for help? And this isn't like a shame blame type thing. I'm asking you these questions to kind of prompt these thoughts in yourself, right? It's about understanding the landscape of dental hygiene school so that you can navigate it differently the next time. Because once you get the facts together about what went wrong, you can look for the learning and the opportunities. Not a long list, just like one or two things that stand out for you. Maybe you learned that you need structure. Maybe you learned that you can't do it by yourself. Maybe you learned that you were carrying more than anyone in your family or your network or your support system realized. Whatever it is, just hold on to it gently. This is the part where failure becomes data instead of an identity. You've got to rebuild. But before you make big academic plans, Focus on the basics that help you feel like yourself again, right? And then choose your next step. Not a whole comeback plan, just one step that signals, I'm moving forward. Email your department chair. Look up tutoring resources, right? Put an academic plan together, or just simply commit to a new routine, right? Take some little action step and then reconnect. Tell someone that you trust. Allow yourself the opportunity to be supported. You do not have to rebuild and get yourself back on your path all by yourself. Community is part of recovery, and you really deserve to be surrounded by people who can see your value. They see your potential, even when you struggle to see it yourself. So sometimes you need to hear that from others. And here's what's true, something that I want you to walk away with. Failing a semester does not mean that you're not capable. And it certainly does not mean that you're not smart. It does not mean, oh, I forgot to put my phone on Do Not Disturb. It does not mean that your dreams are out of reach. It simply means you're human. And every human grows through these types of moments. I'm here to tell you, you can rise from this. You can redirect yourself. You can rebuild. And I will tell you a little secret. When you do rebuild, you will carry the kind of grit and resilience and determination and growth that I could never teach anyone inside of a classroom. The level of determination that comes out of something like this is immeasurable. You're not starting over. Nobody goes back to the starting line. You're actually starting anew, which is further down the road from where you started, right? You're starting wiser. You have all of that experience. So nothing is ever wasted. Nothing is ever wasted. All of this stuff develops you into your most authentic self, who is capable, completely capable. All right. So if this semester didn't go the way that you hoped, you're not alone. It doesn't define you. It doesn't define your future. It's a moment. It's not an identity. All right. All right. So just a quick recap, guys. Start with a pause. Don't just jump in to fix things. Give yourself a moment to breathe. Okay. Just, you could look at what actually happened. Maybe write down a few things. Were you overwhelmed? Did you struggle with time? Did you avoid asking? Where were you dealing with the stresses? Pull out the learning, right? Because there's learning that happens in every failure. I need structure to stay on track. I can't do all of it by myself, right? I was carrying more than I realized. Maybe you had a family member who needed you in a way that you didn't anticipate before the semester started. Or maybe there was something going on that was in the back of your mind and you didn't even realize you were carrying that burden around. Rebuild your foundation. Choose one next step, right? Just one. You don't need a full comeback plan, just one step that signals that you're taking action to move forward. Maybe it's re-enroll in one class, look up a tutor, email your advisor, look for support, meet with a professor. One next step that starts the momentum of your action plan once you've taken that pause. Okay? Talk with a friend, an advisor, a counselor, and just remember the bigger truth here about this failure. A human grows through moments exactly like this. You are moving forward. Your next step is a forward movement. All right. And your goals are not out of reach. These are perfectly capable goals that you can achieve just by taking one step at a time. And honestly, guys, this can be really hard to digest. I want you to be kind to yourself. I really do. I want you to be kind. Think about what this means for you as a student. Picture yourself as a dental hygienist in the future, knowing that not everything goes as planned, but that you are capable of doing this It just might not be at the time or the structure that you initially envisioned in your mind. So take this time to kind of rebuild, reconstruct, and do it correctly. All right. I'll see you on the other side of this.